Peace, peace, peace. What it is, it's your brother Tyvon Sueno, aka the Orthodox Moor. Assalamu alaikum. How y'all doing for me? Real quick, I want to deal with some issues that everybody's talking about, everyone sees going on. In a particular video that brother Garvey did. People see me go back and forth with Sarah a few times. We agree on certain things, we disagree on certain things. But at the end of the day, I respect his position in the community in the sense to where he's a skeptic on many things, and he talks about he talks about the uncomfortable subjects. I for one do the same thing. I respect that all day. So below is a video that he did concerning this New Zealand response, or New Zealand a response to this New Zealand terrorist attack, etc. And he said some stuff in there that I thought was extremely interesting. And again, this is why I value his position in the community, because he touches on some uncomfortable truths and whatnot. So I am a Muslim, first and foremost, and he says some stuff about Islam that a lot of Muslims don't like. And again, I back him on some of it. I don't back him on some of it. For instance, he and I agree heavily on the whole being anti child marriage, etc., and anti those concepts in the hadith, etc., etc. We've talked about that a few times. We agree on that. Yeah, I'm saying all that type of stuff. I don't believe, I'm a Quranist, for instance, right? So I don't take from the hadith, and there's not a lot of extremity in what I consider to be Islam. A lot of the extremities that people find aren't within the Quran, they're in the hadith, etc. And so we tend to agree on that concept. He sits down and talks with brother Big Bro. Big Bro used to be a Muslim. I've talked to Big Bro on the side. Big Bro agrees that if you're going to be a Muslim, being a Quranist is the only way that makes sense, because other ways lead you to extremity. So I definitely value what they do in their conversation on the Black opinion, etc. So go check that out. Go subscribe to Sarah's channel. Go listen to what he says. You don't got to agree with what he says. I'm just asking you to listen, because he'll ask some provocative questions and make you think about some stuff. I'm not saying agree with everything. I'm saying just think about some stuff, right? So I'm going to touch on a couple of topics that he brought up. And like I said, one that I thought was extremely fascinating. He was talking about this concept of a supremacist ideology versus another supremacist ideology, and circular supremacy, how it's engulfing the globe, etc. And typically, right off, he's talking about like white supremacy versus Islamic supremacy, or like the expansion of Sharia law, etc. And it's an interesting perspective, because I think he sees it the way a lot of other people see it, in a sense to where like it's almost like another crusade, in a sense to where, like, you know what I'm saying, we're seeing Islam versus Christendom, but not really Christendom, but still Christendom. Let me unpack that real quick, because my dude who did the shootings in New Zealand was an ethno-nationalist, right? And a confused one at that. And I'm starting to understand this when I look at ethno-nationalism, is that it's a confusion of two ideologies. It's a confusion of a revival of Christendom, and it's a confusion of white supremacy all put together, right? Because most ethno-nationalists I've run into are actually not Christian, or they're actually mostly atheists or something of that nature, right? There's a large proponent that are not spiritual, but at the same point in time, there's a proponent to protect what used to be Christian culture, and usurping it as so-called European or white culture. So on my man's gun, he's going through spraying up a bunch of Muslims doing salat. And on his gun, he's got stuff like Taurus 732 on like where the clip goes, right? On the barrel, he's got Charles Martel. You know what I'm saying? The Hammer, Charles the Hammer Martel, right? And in between the two bits, he's got Refugees Welcome to Hell. On the bump stock, you see he's got the Christian fish on that joint, right? So there's a whole bunch of interesting stuff going along with that, right? So when you understand the Battle of Tours, you understand that this is a time period to where you have crusades popping off, etc. In 711 AD, you had the Jews and other people of Spain going down into Africa, asking the Moors to come through and push out some Christians, to which they do. 711 AD, they start pushing them out from what would be Spain, Portugal, and in parts of France. They get stopped in 732 from expanding it farther than France at the Battle of Tours by Charles Martel. Y'all need to understand what my man's saying right here. He's got a lot of imagery right here. He's got names and a whole bunch of other stuff, but go peep the important parts of this gun, fam. He's telling you what it is. He's telling you what he's shooting at. He's telling you what his goal is, right? He's saying here and no further, right? And in his eyes, he's seeing his country and his ideology being invaded. Being invaded. Now, people are going to have their different looks on history as to whether or not the Moors were actually and the Muslims were actually invading anywhere. Some people see them as liberators. Some people see them as enslavers. I'll leave. That's a whole nother argument for people to have, right? Because I'm gonna tell you like this: anybody who's, I'm gonna say it like this with some with a bias, because I am Moorish by nationality and by blood descent, right? On both sides of my family, I come from the Jews who lived in Spain at the time. I come from the Moors who went to Spain. Both sides of the family, right? So I have a bias on the situation. But here's part of my bias, is that the ethno-nationalists who are claiming this stuff really don't understand the history that they're claiming. Because technically, so if you're in New Zealand and you're in Australia, right? Check this out. You're Gaelic, my dude. You are Gaelic. Germanic and Gaelic, right? And Lower Germanic at that. And if you don't know what that is, go check it out. Because there's two types. You got the Northerners and the Southerners, right? The Northerners are like the Anglo-Saxon. They're bigger, they're taller, they're broader, they're square shaped, they got hard ridges on their foreheads, hard cheekbones, thin lips, sharp noses, beady eyes, etc. Right? If you're shorter, rounder, got the rounder eyes, a little bit more subcutaneous fat, all that type of stuff, and you're so-called Caucasian or white European, and your Western side, like you're from Germany, you know what I'm saying, all the way down through like England and all type of stuff, you know what I'm saying, the British Isles, all that, Wales, Scotland, you know what I'm saying, Ireland, even down into like the Gaelic people or the Gaulish people in Spain and whatnot, right? So all them peoples there are one group of people right there, right? The people that came through, and there's the people that came through and enslaved them at one point in time. Go check them out, right? The seed of Ingvi, the children of the King Ingvi, right? The Anglo-Saxon people. Go check them out. Two different types. Go check out who Charles Martel is related to. How about that one? Yeah, go check them out, right? Go check them out. And go check out that lineage and where it all falls back to, right? About these so-called Christians, right? That are battling for their cause, right? Understand, this is not a religious war he's talking about. This is a political war he's talking about. But he doesn't understand it's a political war. He thinks it's a religious war. He thinks he's fighting for God and country in some way, shape, or form, but not understanding what God and what country he's fighting for. What do I mean? So these Moors that my man is talking about stopping in 732, right? In Spain, in Cordoba, right? His people ancestrally came there and were wild out because they were like, wow, we thought we died and went to heaven. They go to Cordoba, where my mother's people are from. They see lit streets, running water. They see bathhouses. They see all kind of stuff. They're used to living in enclosed houses with no windows, with animals living inside them, where the life expectancy is extremely short. They're not allowed to read, not allowed to write, not allowed to bathe via the Christian law. They're kept ignorant. They're kept dirty. They're kept in need. They come to a Moorish realm, and it's illegal for people to go hungry. How about that? They teach anybody who wants to learn for free. How about that? Everyone gets to bathe for free. There's things like public bathhouses, public ovens, public all kind of stuff. People start migrating in mass to the realms. So many Europeans start going Muslim at the time to participate in this new lifestyle. They call it going Turk. But not all of them. The ones that are connected to the power structure, like your boy Charles Martel and all that type of stuff, all they cared about was power, but it ain't had nothing to do with religion, fam. Nothing to do. It's I want this, mine. It's a fight. It's a war. Look at my dude is in New Zealand. This is not a European nation. I was just watching a girl on the news talk about this is not representative of our country. And the girl is half Maori, half Gaelic. Half Maori, half Gaelic. It don't make no sense to be a European ethno-nationalist in New Zealand. It makes no sense. Just like it makes no sense for anybody to be talking about spreading Sharia law in New Zealand. That ain't New Zealand's culture, all right? They talking about Fetite Rahi. They talking about they the children of the sun. They ain't talking about La ilaha illallah. That's not their culture, all right? I'm not saying that anybody's forcibly spreading Islam there. Same point in time. If I go to a Muslim area in New Zealand, right, I'm going to feel like I'm in Saudi Arabia, like a little Saudi Arabia. I might get treated a certain way. I might get looked at a certain way. I might get dealt with a certain way if I'm not Muslim. If I'm not Muslim. And a lot of people in the UK and a lot of other places can understand this concept. People understand these concepts like no-go zones, etc. and whatnot, right? I can go deep into it. I don't need to. Y'all can do y'all research on it, right? But bottom line is this. It's a different cultural area and different rules apply. And you might not like how you get dealt with. Me personally, I'm not a big fan of it. I don't go into little areas like that. And I am Muslim. Why? I'm not a regular Muslim. I'm a Quranist. You know what I'm saying? I go to Saudi Arabia, I might lose my head. That's a bit extreme. I confess the same book, same prophet, same God as most of these cats, but they would take my head in a heartbeat. Most cats consider me a kafir because I'm a Quranist only. I take only the words of the prophet given to him by God, as I believe. I don't take secondhand, third-hand, etc. stuff from other people about what the prophet said, the prophet said, the prophet said, right? Because when you get that, when you do that, you get these weird sayings like, it's cool to marry girls 6 and 9, etc. Right? And then you get people like in Yemen marrying girls who were 6 and 9, and the girls end up dying because of sexually inflicted wounds. This is something that me and Sarah agree on. That makes no sense either. And there's certain people who push that ideology like it should be law everywhere. There's certain extremists in the community, and you're hearing, yes, I said extremists, that push it for it to be law. That openly say they want to spread Sharia, and that's part of it for them, right? So on the one hand, you have this extremist ideology stipulating that I got right to your land, even though I got no right to your land, and I'm fighting this war of ideology that I have no idea that I'm a chess piece in. Because really, I need to go back to that real quick. So again, these cats don't understand that they're fighting for a power structure that doesn't involve them. If you're of a certain European lineage, bro, this whole Christian thing was not your friend. Just go check out Salic law. I'm gonna put SALIC law. Just go check that out. That's what y'all were rocking beforehand. That's what my man's culture. My man holding this gun. That's what his culture was before this Christianity tip. Prior to Salic law, just go check them out. I'm not gonna get too deep into it because I don't want this to be too long of a video. But just like it don't make sense for somebody who was invaded by another group of people, right? And to take their culture on like it's theirs and then try to go put it at the tip of a gun in another country full of brown people, go shoot up some brown people. Just like that don't make sense. It doesn't make sense to have a book in your hand that says there is no compulsion in religion. Stuff like that, right? And that a law favors not the aggressors. Stuff like that, right? But yet and still, I can find these no-go zones. I can find this ideology being pushed around that says, like, you know, we need to slowly take over. You know what I'm saying? Or Sharia needs to spread, etc. Right? That's equally dangerous. And so when Sarah's talking about a circular supremacy going around the world, he's got a point. And so we're seeing this stuff come to a head. Now, I'm not saying that the people in New Zealand are supremacists in any way, shape, or form in terms of being Muslim. I'm not saying that. No. And neither was Sarah, right? And I agree with Sarah in the sense that, like, people trying to attack him for be like, oh, you're responsible for stuff like this. No. People like him and Kalam and Tommy Robinson are not responsible for stuff like this, right? They're not responsible for stuff like this. This is a Muslim saying that about Tommy Robinson, etc. Like, I'm the Muslim. I'm one of his last few tweets on Twitter, right? I made a video talking about, as a Muslim, I stand by his right to free speech, in the sense of there is no compulsion in religion, right? And as long as he's not saying anything that directly leads to harm to my people, I can't be against him for what he's saying. The moment he says something that directly leads to harm, I'm on that 100%, right? Tommy Robinson never said go shoot up a church full of people or a mosque full of people doing salat. Never said that. Sarah never said go shoot up a mosque full of people doing salat. Kalam never said go shoot up a mosque full of people doing salat. Kalam's been in a mosque doing salat. You know what I'm saying? So I'm putting this video out there, just the first and foremost, like just to touch on the subject, right? Second of all, I want people to understand I'm putting this out there for all my people who talk about this in a way that makes people think, because we need to be thinking about these concepts, because there's literally no reason for my dude to be walking into this mosque with his gun. There's none. His history, he's claiming a history that don't belong to him, right? And pretending like he's doing something righteous with it, right? He's confused. Ethno-nationalists are confused. I don't care what kind you are. Black, white, European, American, whatever. If you're an ethno-nationalist, you're just confused. It don't work. It don't work, right? The concept is crazy. If you're an Islamic supremacist, it don't work. Look at, like, historically speaking, people don't like being taken over. It ain't a good thing. You get blowback, right? Check out all the crusades. So again, the blowback from certain stuff getting pushed too far. For instance, after tours, right? Now you start getting the reconquista, the reconquering of what was taken, right? Or supposedly taken, depending on how you look at it, right? Either or, it's a war going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So if the Moors would have stayed in Africa, right, and just took care of Africa, just made sure Africa was good, right? Didn't go up into Europe or not, even though they'd been there prior to, etc., right? Let's just say they just stayed in Africa, right? Would there be a reconquista? Probably not. Probably not. Now, I'm not saying they should have stayed in Africa, because they were asked to go free some people. They literally were asked to go free some people. So again, anybody, and please go study why they were asked to go free the people. Please go check out the treatment that the Christians were putting the Jews and other people underneath at the time. Because this is what I don't understand. My man, he thinks that the people he's fighting against, like the people historically, the Moorish people he's putting on his stuff, right? He's thinking that they're coming through eradicating some culture or whatnot. And literally they come through liberating some people and then giving them some culture and letting them develop their own culture. Moorish law at the time was like, check this out. Whatever's your thing is your thing. You can pay the Jesus tax and just do your thing, man. You don't got to pay the state tax. You just pay the Jesus tax and do your thing. Again, I come from a Jewish family of the area, right? For the first 400 years of the Cordoba Caliphate, you know what I'm saying? Don't let nobody get you twisted on this. For the first 400 years of the court of the caliphate, the Iberian Jews or the Moorish Jews, whatever you want to call them, right? The Maghrebim, whatever you want to call them, they were living very, very well. It wasn't until some people from the Abbasid dynasty came through and started switching stuff up that it got crazy. And I'm gonna tell you this right here. It got crazy for the Europeans after that too. It got crazy for Christians after that too. There's a certain aspect of this so-called ideology that goes into Islam that people really got to watch. There's not one form of Christianity. There's not one form of Islam. There's not one form. People mess up stuff all the time. You can get a great idea from anybody and mess it up. So, for instance, the Muslims that went into Spain first in 711, right? That my man's fighting in 732. They have a completely different ideology than the people that are there in, like, let's say, the 12 and 1300s and whatnot, right? A lot of the history that you know about the Muslims, like what this guy knows about them, this guy with the gun, he knows about stuff from like the 1300s on. He doesn't really know about the 700s. When I talk to the ethno-nationalists, and trust me, I live in Washington State, right? There's a hotbed for them up here. It's like damn near the capital for these cats up here, right? Pacific Northwest is crawling with these cats, crawling with them. And they do stuff like infiltrate like the Republican Party up here. You know what I'm saying? They don't understand a certain spectrum of history. They only get it through a small lens. Just like the people who do extremism in Islam, they get it through a very small lens. They don't have a broad understanding of the literature. I 100% agree with Sarah Garvey on this. We're watching supremacist ideologies fight each other right now. These are, and when I say supremacist, like, I'm not saying Christianity is supremacist. I'm not saying that Islam is supremacist. I'm saying that ethno-nationalism is supremacist, right? And I'm saying that that this concept of spreading Sharia law is supremacist. Okay, this concept of being ethno-nationalist is definitely supremacist, and this concept of spreading Sharia law is 100% supremacist. Because you can't say I'm supposed to spread Sharia law, right? At the same point in time, Allah favors not the aggressors. And there is no compulsion in religion. Doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Both ideologies are of ethno-nationalism and spreading Sharia law is. And when I say spreading Sharia law, there's a group of Muslims who believe by spreading Sharia law by peacefully just being a good example of a Muslim. I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about that concept, right? I'm talking about people who believe in like changing the complexion of a country's ideology slowly, subversively, etc. Right? Like, and I mean subversively, right? Covertly, all that type of stuff, right? Not overtly, not out in the open. That's a problem, and people definitely see that. I can go to, if I was to Speaker's Corner right now, I could go talk to I could go talk to some Quranists, I could go talk to some Sunnis, I could go talk to some Shias, I can go talk to some Sufis, and I can go talk to some Saudi supporters. You know what I'm saying? Some people who are linked to actual terrorist attack, like people who are literally linked. I can follow their friends list, right, and show you people who've killed themselves in terrorist attacks in the UK. Talking about spreading Sharia law at Speaker's Corner right now. Those are the cats I'm talking about. They're there. Like Tommy Robinson understands they're there. Like Sarah understands they're there. Like Kalam understands they're there. They exist. Like I understand they're there. Like this dude with the gun understands they're there. You can't pretend like they're not there, these extremists. So it's incumbent upon Muslims to deal with that. It's incumbent upon Muslims to go, you know what? This ideology doesn't work. This ideology doesn't work, and really stand against it. In the Western culture, Muslims have this concept of washing their hands of stuff, like it works in the Western culture. And in the culture that most Muslims come from, like when they migrate from Eastern cultures, etc., into the West, there's something that doesn't follow in translation, in the sense to where, like, when you wash your hands of something in a Muslim culture, you're free from something. In the West, you're not free from something like that. You're guilty by association, and rightly so, as far as I'm concerned. Because if you're a Muslim, if you claim to be a Muslim and you know other Muslims are doing some dirty ass shit, and you let it go because you're like, oh, I'm free from that. No, you're guilty because you know what's going on. You're not free from that. You are like, so let me say it like this, right? This whole bit about stopping action or not acting and covering sins, and for instance, or hating something in your heart, not doing something with your hands. These are all hadith based concepts. And I'll tell you right off the top, they're extreme in nature, because the Quran stipulates that I have the obligation to stand for justice against myself and even my family. And that if I don't, that Allah sees and is well acquainted with what I do. And really is well acquainted with what I'm not doing. I don't have the ability to not stand for justice as a Muslim. I don't have the ability to not call out injustice as a Muslim. That's not part of the Quran. That's not part of what Allah Ta'ala gave the Prophet ﷺ to give to us. That's what man gave to us. That's what man gave to us. And the Quran stipulates that one day there will be a people who take a baseless hadith to mislead the people from the path of Allah Ta'ala for entertainment. And we're seeing the results of that stuff here. We're seeing innocent Muslims who had nothing to do with anything grievous being killed while praying. Not because they did anything extreme. Someone somewhere else did something extreme, and this dude with the gun couldn't get to them. He could get to these innocent people and make them martyrs. Like, yo, that's crazy to me. I can't stand being a Muslim knowing that there's innocent people dying over crazy ideology that they're not even enforcing themselves. Them people in that mosque in New Zealand were not trying to enforce 6 and 9 year olds getting married or chopping the heads off of people, etc. None of that type of stuff. They weren't sitting there enforcing expansion. They were living like New Zealand citizens, paying taxes, all that kind of stuff, right? That mosque was registered with the government. They were being good citizens in a country that's not theirs. Just like my man should be a good citizen and understanding, like, you know what? New Zealand's not really part of my cultural heritage. I should just chill here. If I'm gonna be here, I should chill here and be respectful about this stuff. You know what? And I should be respectful about the native culture of the Maori here as well. No, my man's down there talking about, like, no, I'm down here and I should be enforcing ethnonationalism down here. That makes no sense. That would be like Hitler trying to go into the heart of Africa talking about, yeah, I'm gonna make the pure white race here. What? Huh? That don't make no sense. That don't make no sense. Like, if my dude if he went to a mosque, right? Let's say he did a video before and said, you know what, I found this mosque that I found was funneling money to a terrorist organization, and I reported it to authorities. Authorities did nothing. I feel like I have to do this for the protection of our country, of our good people here, etc. No matter the color, no matter the religion, was, you know what I'm saying? There's something, there's some nasty stuff here that I know I'm doing some bad things. I shouldn't be doing this, but somebody's got to do something about this. If I heard something like that, I could at least halfway believe that my dude, even though being off in the head, was at least had a good heart in some way, shape, or form, right? This dude here, right? This right here has nothing to do with love. Nowhere on his gun. Nothing to do with protection. Nothing to do with anything valiant. It is all to do with hate. All to do with hate. Nothing to do with understanding. None of that type of stuff. This right here is why I encourage conversations with people like Tommy Robinson. Because I hear Tommy Robinson, and Muslims, please understand, hear me on this one. You don't got to ever agree with anybody to ever talk to them. You can patiently, you can silently, You can respectfully disagree. One more time, you can patiently, you can silently, and you can respectfully disagree. I would love nothing more than to sit down with Tommy Robinson and let him air out all his issues on Islam and then walk him through it step by step via the Quran and be like, you know what? You're right. All this stuff over here is extreme, but none of it comes from the Quran. And I would like to stand with you in working to eradicating these extremist ideologies in Western culture. Got no spot with it. Again, so the Moors that came into Spain, 711, right? These people that my man Charles Martel's fighting in 732 towards, right? They had no hadith. They went in with the Quran. The hadith had not even been compiled yet. The schools of thought, like, check this out, right? Let's say you're Sunni, right? My man Abu Hanifa, 12 years old when the Moors went into Spain. His madhab had not even started yet. My Shia brethren, right? Imam Jafar al-Sadiq, right? 13 years old. Because they always like to cite, well, you know, Abu Hanifa studied with him. Okay, yeah, he got him by 1 year. He got him by 1 year. Both of their balls hadn't even dropped yet by the time the Moors went into Spain. They were just starting to drop. Their voices might have been cracking. They might have been just starting to crack. I would love to sit down to Tommy Robinson. Like, hey, check this out, man. Look at this history of Islam and how it looks and how it treated the people and whatnot. This is actually a Western form of Islam. This is the Islam that first touched the West. How about that? The one that said it was illegal for people to go hungry. The one that had the public bathhouses, right? All that type of stuff. Go look at when that culture first touched the West. The first 400 years of. Go check out the Cordoba Caliphate and tell me you disagree with Islam in that manner. I promise you, if the dude with this gun looked at that Islam, he'd be like, you know, that's kind of dope, actually. And if he actually looked at the history of it, he'd probably see it has some connection with his people. Real talk. Go check out the Germanic names and whatnot, like Mohr and whatnot, like Mohr and whatnot, Macher and whatnot, all that type of fam. Go check out all the Moors heads in the what do they call those? The not the icons, not the seals, but the family symbols that they put on the shields and whatnot, right? They're the people got Moors heads on that joint all day, marking their family lineage and where they come from. I promise you, my dude looks at his history deep enough. His Gaelic background has some cross sectioning with the Moors somewhere. Check this out, right? Little fun fact. I'm gonna do a video on this later. St. Patty's Day, right? 1452, right? We're talking about the snakes getting ran off this island. You know what I'm saying? All the time. Check what's going on 1452, 1453. You got Roman papal bulls talking about reducing the Saracens, i.e. the Saracens and Moors in North and West Africa and other realms to perpetual servitude and slavery. My man knows that time period. The dude with the gun knows that time period of history. He don't know the stuff prior to, man. So us as Muslims, we need to take the time to have these conversations in the West. And if we don't, we are 100% guilty and culpable for these situations continuing to happen. We're not the ones standing up to protect our people with peace. Now, personally, I think my people should be having armed guards at the mosque and all that type of stuff, right? In America, Jews got armed guards at their Jewish schools, etc., all that type of stuff, right? You're not just gonna run up on them. Like, go listen to Ben Shapiro. You're not gonna run up on him or his kids. Not at school. He's like, I went to a school with armed guards. Armed guards. My kids go to a school with armed guards. Like, that's smart. He understands as Jews, people might not dig him. People might have an issue with him. People might threaten that. You know what I'm saying? Muslims might want to start thinking on the same lines. You know what I'm saying? However, what would be even more beneficial is to actually seek out people like Tommy Robinson and actually try to understand the clash in culture, try to understand the clash in ideology, try to understand how to better explain the concepts. And if you can't, then just recognize you're part of the problem. You're not part of the solution. And more people with these kind of guns are going to be walking into mosques and taking more lives. Understand, you heard me say it. And to pretend like it's not going to happen is just putting your head in the sand. It's putting your head in the sand. It's putting your head in the sand. Same point in time. Check this out. If my European, so-called European brethren are not going to start dealing with these ethno-nationalists, right? And acting like it's not what it is, right? Acting like it's not the rebirth of the Hitler culture all over again, right? Y'all are culpable too. Every last one of you. Like in America, they got this whole thing out now called like the black identity extremist, right? So you know what that's doing? That's making the people of African descent culpable for like so-called black hate crimes and terrorist acts and whatnot. We're dealing with that over. We have to condemn that or be part of it if we don't condemn it. We're dealing with that right now in this country. So I'm telling y'all right now, y'all dealing with the same thing too. Muslims, we're dealing with the same thing too. We all see the knot going on. We all see the hatred and the slander going on. We all see people not sitting down and having these conversations in peace like we're grown people. Like we don't got children coming up behind us. It's our responsibility to leave this world a little bit better than how we left it, right? Or how we found it. And if you don't believe that, you're definitely part of the problem. 100% part of the problem. I can't, as a Muslim, I can't stand talking to other Muslims and begging them to talk to people in the West and clear up ideological differences and understandings and whatnot. Now that right there, that's a subconscious supremacy that people don't know they have. That's like I live again the Pacific Northwest. A lot of people are subconsciously racist up here and don't even know it, or have subconscious prejudices and don't know it. Don't know it. I deal with it all the time. I love people, so I overlook it, right? I love my Muslim brethren. I overlook it, but when it goes too far, I got to say something. And in this situation where it's leading us to not have conversations, it's damaging to our people. It's a danger to our people at this juncture because look, people are walking into mosques and shooting our people as they pray. Now, in the Muslim world, we got this happening all day. We got Sunnis shooting Shias and Shias shooting Sunnis, different sects of Sunnis shooting each other, different sects of Shias shooting each other. We see all kind of craziness, right? We're not doing ish to stop it there. So if we're not, so check this out. If we're not doing ish to stop it in our own community, we definitely don't have, like when my dude comes through with the gun, talking about Taurus 732, Charles Martel the Hammer, welcome to hell. We're culpable for that. We oh man, like not only are we culpable, we don't have the ability to complain about it. Because if we're not cleaning it up in our own community, we cannot complain about it when someone else does it to us. Because the truth is, the extremism in how people see the ideology of Islam is why it's happening within the Islamic community. So if there's obvious extremism happening within the Islamic community to where you have people killing each other to that level, right? We definitely can't pretend like when we go to some other countries, people don't see it. People see it. Go to Speaker's Corner right now. You see nothing but beef with the Muslims. They don't get along with each other. Is this group beefing with this group, beefing with this group, beefing with this group? You can't get nothing. I've been trying to get people to unify on some Islamic stuff amongst the Muslims in Speaker's Corner. Ain't happening for nothing. I finally said I'm about to leave it. I'm about to go take care of my people that deal with Islam. How about that? The people that are around me that agree somewhat similar. I'm gonna deal with that. When I talk public, I'm gonna do some more universal stuff because The religious thing, the religion is dividing people on that one, right? And if I come talk to them, it's about, check this out. You got your religion wrong. How about that? I'm gonna come at all you cats and be like, okay, prove what you're saying via the Quran. How about that? This ain't no love conversation right now because people are dying right now. And people are comfortably bullshitting about it. So I don't want to see Muslims in the West crying and acting like there's some victims over nothing. I don't want to hear none of that. Don't you dare use this situation to raise money, to make videos, to get subscribers. No. You take this situation here, look in the mirror, and be like, this is my fault. I'm letting my people die because I'm not confronting the extremism within my community and that other people see within my community. I'm part of the problem. The moment we start doing that, all will be well. This starts disappearing left and right because we start cleaning up our own house. When we have a clean house, trust me, the world won't let this happen to us. Much less us having to worry about us protecting ourselves from it. The world won't let it happen to us. And you know what? Let us start talking to these people, these ethno-nationalists, about that, about how Islam actually interacted with their cultures and actually confront them on the history of it. And if you're not going to do it, I'm going to do it. But when I do it, I'm going to be like, you know, anyone who comes to you talking this supremacy stuff, nah, you're right to be wary of them. Go watch them. Look at them. Go watch how they move. You got to watch them. Just like any other Muslim should be saying. Any Muslim should tell you, if you see somebody talking, if you hear someone talking about spreading Sharia law, if you hear somebody talking about one day this will be a Muslim land, blah, blah. Hey, watch them. Watch them. No Muslim should be talking about stuff like that. No, it should be on some Allah does not favor the aggressor. There is no compulsion on religion. That's what you should be hearing. Like, they should be so good within their Islam, you don't even got to hear them talking about God to you, right? Not unless you're asking about it. That's any religion. I should be wanting to watch what you're doing. Like, you know what? The way you practice your life is so ill. What is it that you do? That's how the conversation is supposed to start. And it's supposed to be like, hey, you need to hear about this. Nah. And if you're going to talk about, if you're going to proselytize a religion, right? How dare any of us proselytize a religion without cleaning up our house first? We're shopping a broken product to the world and wondering why people are getting crazy with it. Because we got our head in the sand on certain stuff. I'm saying, I can't stand ethno-nationalism. It makes no sense. It makes no sense. I can't stand religious supremacy. It makes no sense. No sense. Neither one of them are successful ideologies. You can't look at one situation to where those either ideology made a sustaining empire happen or a sustaining nation happen. They all rose and fell violently. Violently. In 2019 and moving forward, we got to do better. If we keep holding on to these ideologies, right, and acting like our ideas don't hurt people outside of our own heads when we enact them, and start understanding we got to really be careful when we choose to act, what we're choosing to ingest in terms of information. Man, we're perishing for lack of knowledge. We need to be wise and know ourselves. I'm looking at this gun, right, and I'm seeing my dude being a voluntary but unknowing chess piece in a game to where he's just fodder for the fire. The people who are benefiting from this ethno-nationalist game, they don't care about this dude with the gun. They don't care about this dude in New Zealand. They're using him as a commercial right now. He means no one at the top of that ethno-nationalist game is losing a minute's sleep over this guy dying or the atrocity he just committed. My dude, right? So at the same point in time, look what's going on in Europe and other places, right? To where there's a mass migration of people coming in from certain cultures, right? This guy is a layman. He's on the bottom of society. He's probably not the most educated dude in the game. He's self-educated. When you look at what he's self-educated on, it's very, very myopic views of and constructs of history. He doesn't have broad understandings to it, right? He's grabbing at what he can hold on to, right? What he can understand, right? To explain whatever the hell's going on to him, right? And the truth is, most of my European people live in countries connected to the EU and to the Queen, right? Your immigration policies are nuts. Y'all know that stuff. Everyone knows that stuff, right? To the point to where the complexion and understanding of a country is changing extremely fast, right? Nothing wrong with talking about immigration. Nothing wrong with dealing with those issues, right? Nothing wrong with, like, again, this is why the Tommy Robinsons exist in the world. Tommy Robinson is a very, like, look at him like a canary in the coal mine. Like, that's a very real situation he's talking about. A lot of the issues he raises are very, very real. Them getting ignored, it foments anger amongst a certain group of people. If I was a so-called white male right now in the world, I'd be feeling like I was under attack. And when people feel like they're under attack, they're going to lump up with other people that they can feel safe with. This ethno-nationalism is a reaction to that concept. Why is it even happening? Because divide and conquer is an easy game to play. And it's an easier game to play than war. Just all out war and control and all that type of stuff, right? So let's say I'm the elites and I'm trying to control some stuff, right? In a game of Risk or whatnot, right? It's better for me to set two people against each other than me have to take them both up, than me have to fight both of them. It just makes more sense for resources and all that type of stuff, right? It's just less collateral damage on my side, less resources on my side, all that type of stuff, right? So if I want to maintain control of some people, let's say it's a Marie Antoinette situation. Let them eat cake, right? You're aristocracy, right? You got the poor people just bringing your door down and whatnot, right? Well, if I could get them to fight themselves or fight someone else versus banging my door down, I can sit there and just eat cake and drink all my stuff all day, right? And talk stuff about how y'all need to be eating cake and just laughing at y'all, right? So if I put this group against that group, i.e. The poor so-called whites of my nation against any brown group coming in, I win. I don't got to worry about you no more. Look at these so-called ethno-nationalists that are talking in the UK and other places right now, right? They're not just talking about culture. They're talking about economic policy. They're talking about look at the policies they're actually talking about. They're like they just want a piece of the pie. They want it. They don't want to be left out neither, right? And so in a situation to where they were already on the economic bottom of stuff, and in like 1% type nations, to where like the money gets funneled to the top, right? They see other groups of people coming in, and they feel like, oh wow, they're getting treated better than what I am in my own country. And the truth of the matter is, when they go look at the laws, there's certain stuff that does allow certain people to get different treatment on certain stuff, right? And how they get treated within the law, right? And so they feel like there's a game being played against them, which is 100% true. But they're misunderstanding who's actually moving the chess pieces and who the chess pieces actually are. They're going at other pawns when they should be trying to take out the king. You don't win chess by taking out the pawns. You win chess games by making sure the king can't move, putting him in checkmate. So this is where my Muslim brethren on one side and in my European ethno-nationalist brethren on the other side need to understand. Y'all are chess pieces in a game. Y'all are the pawns in the game, fighting each other right now. Fighting each other right now. And like me and my brother love to say, if you're not playing chess, you're just a pawn in the game. So I'm asking you to step back and start playing chess right now. My Muslims need to starting put their putting this sense of I don't have to do, like, I don't have to talk to you. I don't have to make this make sense. Y'all got to put that down. If not, expect to see more of these attacks, and we deserve them. One more time, expect these attacks, and we deserve them, because we're not stopping. We're not cleaning up our own house, and we're projecting this crazy picture to the world that we're not taking responsibility for. You know how much when someone asks me, like, when I tell someone I'm a Muslim, you know how long that conversation is? How much stuff I got to qualify? To the point where it's almost like, well, you're not even a Muslim, are you? Yeah, I follow the Quran. Well, what you talking about don't even sound like what I see in Islam. I'm sure it don't. I'm sure it don't. Everybody's confused like that right now with Islam. We're being hypocrites with our religion right now. We're acting like it's not being like it's not being enforced on anybody. There's hella people Islam's being enforced on right now. It is there's a bunch of aggression going on within the culture itself. And for us to deny that makes us part of the problem. We deserve any actions that come back to us off that. Should anybody die? No. It's 1000% sad that 49, 50 people, etc., died in this attack here. Nothing is sad. It says in our book that if you've killed one innocent person, it's like you've killed the entirety of humanity. So those innocent people praying, it's like all of humanity just got killed. And this is what I'm saying. For all my Muslim family, y'all aren't seeing it like that. This is a serious situation. All of humanity just got killed, right? And part of our ideology has something to do with it. So we have responsibility for saving the whole of humanity. Like it says, if you saved one innocent life, it is as if you have saved the entirety of humanity. We got a bunch of innocent lives to save because people are getting sprayed up over this stuff. And it's not going to stop no time soon. Again, the powers that be are moving these chess pieces to make so-called white men to be the minority in the world now. They statistically are the minority in the world. Statistically already. So when they start telling you, hey, check this out, we need to talk about submission. Hey, sit down and have the conversation. Some of them don't want to talk to you. Some of them just want to fight you. Okay, I'm with that. Go deal with that a whole different way. But there's some of them that want to be peaceful with you. Where there can be peace, there should be peace. And if you don't feel like people like Tommy Robinson are sincere, prove them to be insincere by meeting them with honesty and peace. Because like I said, when we clean up our own house, the world will defend us from this type of stuff. If we're not trying to clean up our own house, why should anybody defend us? And I'll tell you right now, I'm gonna condemn anybody trying to feign like, oh, this is such a tragedy in the sense that we're being attacked because we're Muslims. No, knock that off. Get your head out the center. Understand people are attacking the ones that they can attack. Because the ones they want to attack are somewhere else and they got guns, etc. My man is a weak man. The dude who had the gun, a weak dude. He's a weak dude for attacking people like that. But he's attacking the ones he could get his hands on. So if we're going to try to be peaceful Muslims in a Western society, it's incumbent upon us to recognize what's going on in the other societies we come from. And tell the people in the West, hey, check this out. This is how we're different from that. And not just say it, be different from that. Because when we live that lifestyle, then again, the world will protect us from this, as well as us protecting ourselves from this type of stuff. There's a supremacy in both ideologies that needs to be removed. Because When you remove that crazy ideology from ethnonationalism, you get what's the form? You get civic nationalism. I'm cool with civic nationalism. Nothing wrong with that. And you can even, hey, check this out. You can even have homogenous civic nationalism. Look at the Scandinavian countries and whatnot. They're mostly homogenous areas, right? Look at Japan, mostly homogenous. And that's not the issue. Having homogenous civic nationality is not a problem. It's just controlling immigration. That's all that is. That's really all that is. There's nothing, not an issue with that. This issue that says people got to die over it, ooh wee, or I need to go invade someplace. Like again, my man's in New Zealand, not understanding. Like I'm not even genetically made to be here. I might get skin cancer in a year. Do you know what I'm saying? Like we got to be realistic about who and what we all are and all this type of stuff, man. And then we can start talking to each other about some real stuff. You're human with frailties. I'm human with frailties. Now let's have a conversation. I respect your humanness and I respect your frailties. Do you respect my humanness? Do you respect my frailties? Real simple. I don't want to see no more of these people dying like this. But I know for a fact I'm going to. Because you got hard-headed people on both sides that don't want to be right. They just want to win. One more time. They don't want to be right. They just want to win. And that kind of mentality, right? That mob mentality of I just want to win, all that type of stuff, right? That comes like, that's like that Roman Colosseum stuff, right? And when you understand the history of the Colosseum and what it was used for, it was used to be an opiate of the masses. This us versus them competition is the opiate of the masses that got the elites laughing all the way to the bank. All the way to the bank. Because at the end of the day, they don't care if that dude with the gun or all the people in that mosque died, as long as they could keep their power, as long as they could keep their wealth, as long as they could keep their influence. So with that, I completely stand by people like Sarah, Big Bro, Kalam, anyone down at the park in Speaker's Corner that critique Islam, that critique Islam. Tommy Robinson, all of them critique Islam from sun up to sundown. I got no issue with that because none of the people that I just mentioned, none of them ever called for violence against any Muslim. And they're not going to. They're too smart for that. There's nothing that's fruitful that will come from that. They know the negativity that will come from that. But the critique is necessary. And the return conversation is even more necessary from the Muslims. When I would really love to see someone like Brother Ahmed Muhammad, right, the Somali Maverick, sit down with someone like Sarah Garvey on his show, right, on the Black Opinion, right, and really just sit down and hash out Islam from a Quranist point of view. Sarah talked to Ahmed Muhammad once, and Ahmed was talking about the Hadith, right? And since that conversation, he put down the Hadith. And anyone who's talked to Ahmed, like, you know what, you're different. You're a different cat. You know what I'm saying? I would love for Sarah to sit down with Ahmed right now and really just hash out and talk about their concepts of Islam. Because I promise you, Sarah, like, you know, you make a lot of sense, Ahmed. I can rock with that. That if more people believe like that, I can understand. Okay, I got you. And furthermore, I like how you talk about this. I can understand you talking now. You're not talking crazy. You're not talking like you're just like you're a tape recorder, you know, or you're playing a tape on repeat. Like that's what Ahmed loves to say now. He runs into people, you know what I'm saying, who run the Hadith off, just or run off like ideologies. Like as soon as you start talking about something, ask them to think for themselves. They just start playing a tape for you, is what he says. They play a tape. They play a rehearsed tape. That's the problem in the West, right? When people got real problems and whatnot that they're trying to deal with, like again, like the Tommy Robinsons of the world, right? They get a rehearsed tape back versus an actual sincere answer. Let's take the tapes out of our mouths and just start talking and having a real sincere conversations like we're real people. Like people are actually dying over this ish. So I don't agree with everything Sarah says. For instance, I'm a Pan-Africanist Muslim. He will not work with me on anything that comes to that deals with Pan-Africanism because I am a Muslim. He thinks it's counterproductive to the concept. He believes I worship a white man, right? Or that I follow a white man, right? That's his construct. I don't agree with him on that, right? We can't work together on that. It just won't happen. I would love to sit down and talk with him more and more and more and break that down. But it's actually not that important to me. What's more important is where can we work? I prefer to real easy. Where can we work together? Not where can I fight you to work with you? Like, well, where can we just easily work together, right? Me and him can easily work together on a whole bunch of stuff. Easily. And one thing we can work on is this concept of people being able to critique things in a public setting without having to be worried about being connected to like, oh, you're trying to promote this. You're trying to be like, nah, man, no. I'm trying to promote free thinking. How about that? I'm trying to promote people critically thinking about stuff. How about that? Now, for me, he makes too many assumptions. He's not as well studied as he could be. He's more opinionated than he is factual. That's my only trip on my only gripe with the dude, right? But at the same point in time, his critiquing is necessary. Necessary. The ethno-nationalists in the civic nationalists in the UK and the West, right, and Europe and etc., right, their critiques on how they see Islam, on how they understand it through their lens, it's legitimate. It's their cultural lens. So we as Muslims have the obligation to translate through that cultural lens. Not say I'm free from this. So with that, I hope all my Muslim brethren within the sound of my voice hear what I'm saying on this. Because I'm saying this very sincerely. I don't want to see another one of our innocent men, women, and children die over something that they're not doing themselves. And I don't want to see them get killed by people who don't understand our history. We have a beautiful history that we don't tell. I want my Muslims to understand this. In the West, please listen to this. In the West, what do they hear you talking about? They hear us bickering back and forth about battles between Sunnis and Shias we talk about the fitnas in the history of our community. That's what they know us. They know us talking about the fitnas. That's what we talk about most is the fitnas. If we went around talking about like the first 400 years of the Moors in Spain, wow, how would that actually work? We're talking about unification. Or how about us being in Ethiopia, not beefing with nobody? How about that? What was the fitna in Ethiopia? Where were we killing ourselves all day in Ethiopia? Not happening. We went there seeking peace or seeking refuge and respecting it. In the West, all they hear Muslims talking about is this age of fitna, this age of fitna. This follows the prophet, this follows the prophet, blah, blah, blah. That's all they know, fam. And that's all you want to talk about. So that's all you talk about. And then you want to turn around and say, well, I'm a moderate, peaceful Muslim. I'm not going to, bro. I'm a Muslim and I got problems with that. I hear this. I'm like, why would you talk about this the whole time? Like, I love hearing it because you know what? I'll tell you like this. Like, I talk to most of my Muslims who grew up Muslim, right? I'm like, wow, I don't know none of these stories you're talking about because I didn't grow up Muslim. I became one, right? I know the Quran. All the stuff you're talking about is not in the Quran. You know what I'm saying? This is interesting stuff, which is cool. I'm with it, right? Talk about your favorite Sahaba till you're blue in the face. I got my favorite Sahaba. I ain't tripping on you. But at the same point in time, I got no issue telling you I don't care about the Sahaba like that. It ain't that serious. Ain't none of them prophets. How about that? Ain't none of them prophets. Then none of us give us the Quran like that. In fact, you can make the argument that they messed up the Quran. You can really make that argument, right? In the West, all they hear us doing is bickering about Sahabas and this, that, and the third, and how you're not Muslim. About they hear this kafir talk all day, right? They see the terrorist attacks in Muslim countries and whatnot. Bam, like what are they supposed to think? I'm gonna tell you right now, I had a Quran sitting on my shelf for 10 years, and I've read every religious book underneath the sun. I had it on my shelf for 10 years before I cracked it. Why? Because I thought it was filled with terrorism. I thought it was filled with pedophilia, etc. It blew my ever-loving mind when I read that book. It is the most beautiful book I've ever read in my life. It blew my ever-loving mind. I instantaneously became disgusted with the paint of how Muslims dare paint this religion in this modern day and time. Disgusted that you would allow a picture to exist that would let me not crack that book for 10 years. I'm curious about religion. Since I was 16, I've been reading every religious book I could get my hands on, right? It's criminal that I didn't crack that book for 10 years because of how I see Muslims acting throughout the entire world. The only reason I cracked that book, the dude who gave it to me was the best dude I've ever met in terms of any religion, right? I don't care what religion you follow. He was the best. He could be universally the most chill dude you've ever met, right? He gave me the Quran. I was like, you know what? You practice this different than everyone else. I understand, right? And when I hear you talk about stuff, you do it differently. I can't write this stuff off. I can't write this off. I read another book that had me look at the Quran different. So I tried for 3 years to disprove the Quran. And when I got into the Arabic of the Quran and studied it for real, I was like, wow, none of this extremism stuff is there. Okay. I can see why this guy was like that. He actually followed the tradition of the book. Okay. He embodied the tradition. This is why he stood out different to me to every other Muslim that I met. Not that every other Muslim I met is a bad person. Nothing of the sort. Most Muslims I meet are the most chill people, right? I live in America, though. It's a different kind of Islam over here, right? I'll talk to my UK heads and different people are from different places and whatnot. Different cultural aspects come out. Different aspects come out. So I can tell you right now, as like if I was in the UK, right? If I was in Europe, if I was in Australia, if I was in New Zealand, right? If I was in Canada, if I was anywhere where the Queen got her face on the money, how about that? Let's leave it like that. I would probably either be in the hospital or in jail or in the cemetery, because over in those countries, I would I speak out against Islam all day, like, and not Islam the religion, but like what people perceive Islam to be. And I am a Muslim. I speak out against the negative aspects of it, and unabashedly so. Like, I wish I could be a speaker's corner. You understand? I'd be shutting all kind of cats down on all kind of nonsense and not that they can't prove. I'd be right. All y'all heads come over to one side of the park and let's just do it. Just encircle your boy and let's see how much you don't know about the book. You're gonna recite hadith all day to me, but ain't gonna recite one line out the Quran. Not one line out the Quran. That's problematic. That's why my people in the West are coming into our mosques with guns. We can't get one clear conversation out of our community to the West. That's extremely problematic. It's getting our people killed. Y'all don't want to recognize it? Fine. I don't want to hear you blame nobody over it. Because you got people like Tommy Robinson, right? Y'all say whatever you want to about the man, about how you think it's sincere, insincere, whatever. Trust me. I've seen my man sincerely go ask imams questions about stuff and get shut down. Like, we don't even need to explain this to you. And then when he goes to, when Imam Tawhidi actually wants to talk to him and break some stuff down. Now, again, I don't agree with everything that Imam says. I definitely don't. I agree with the fact that he was willing to sit down and talk to Tommy about some stuff. And you're like, oh, he was just being a puppet for Tommy. No, Tommy's been begging people for years. Can you just sit down and talk to me about this stuff? I promise you, if I got to the UK, it would not be hard for me to actually go deal with these people. I know, because I deal with them in America all day. I will go find some cats like him and be like, check this out, man. I actually agree with you on this. Let's talk. How can we build to make sure that the Muslims over here and the people who believe like you believe over here aren't fighting over stuff they don't need to fight over? That they don't understand they don't need to fight over. Can we have that conversation? This is how you know when people are full of shit or not. Because typically everybody wants to sit down and have that conversation. Trust me, when I made that video, I made a video talking to Tommy Robbins. His tweet was who is this guy? How can I get in contact with him? All that type of stuff there. And it got deleted, all that. Man, his account got deleted right after that. Right after he sent them tweets out. The lines aren't as hard in the sand as we think they are. And the nice thing about sand is you just run your fingers through it. Oh, the line disappears now. That's what I'm asking people to do. Is can we make these lines disappear? And with that, I'm going to let y'all go. I'm going to stop keeping you from hanging out with your family, your loved ones, praying, eating, doing whatever y'all doing right now. Enjoy your time. Enjoy your day. But above all else, take some time to blur out them lines in the sand. They don't need to be there like that. To my Muslim brethren, please, please, please start having these conversations in the West. Be open, honest. Leave the ideology out of it. Let's start talking actual history, actual facts. People who aren't Muslim, who cares about them about being Muslim? I'm saying, can we start having conversations that make it to where our people aren't being killed for no reason? Like, the only Muslims who should be getting shot at are ones with guns. How about that? That's simple. My people in the West, please start grabbing broader information than what you're looking at. And I can tell you that there needs to be more out there than what you can actually grab. But there's enough out there for you to be able to educate yourself, to get a proper understanding of these cats with these Charles Martel guns talking about Torah 732 and Welcome to Hell, right? That they are not eating the right informational food. They're getting poisoned with the information they're getting. Please understand, if you're reading books that's making you go pick up guns and go shoot people like this, they're the wrong books. They're the wrong books. They don't match up with history like that. For instance, I'll say this in particular, right? These same people that were fought at Tours in 732, you can find Russians sailing with them. You can find the British sailing with them. You can find the Dutch sailing with them against Christian powers. Go check out the Barbary Wars and go see who was actually rocking with the Muslims. You'll actually go check out. Oh wow, there's different groups of these so-called white people. And some of them actually teamed up with the Muslims to fight these other ones. Why? Go check out why that was. Everything's not as cut and dry as people like to make it. Islam is not one big conglomerate. It's not one big, conglomerate works. It's different. Like even at the time, you had like most of the West African Empire wasn't even dealing with the Muslims in the East and whatnot. You had people not even paying tribute to the empire or tribute to the caliphate. They were doing their own thing. Just like you had two Roman empires at one point in time. Just like you have Roman Catholicism and Protestantism, right? There's differences in concepts. So please just do me the favor of, when you look at Islam, understand Islam as the umbrella, and there's many ideologies underneath that umbrella, and not all of them are the same. And there's certain aspects of Islam and certain people practicing Islam that you can actually team with and work with, in terms of making sure that there's not extremism happening in a civic way in the country you're in. Again, civic nationalism. And with that, family, I say peace and love.